Hello, everyone. Welcome to week 2 in English 025. I have some notes here, so I might be looking down at my notes. I just want to make sure that I get everything in. So there are a couple things that kind of like admin things that I want to make sure that you understand before we jump into module 2 stuff, okay? First of all, I don't know if you've noticed on my screen, there's this button called Immersive Reader. And basically what that button is that anytime Canvas has what's called pages, and for the most part, let's go into the modules, I have put things on pages. So for example, if I click into the article for this week, you can see it here on this page. You can also download it, or you can also open it here. If you click this, it opens it in a new box. So you can see what it looks like in a Word document. You can also download it from here too. I think I showed you this before. Sometimes it takes a minute for it to load, but you can zoom in and you can, read it this way. But you can also click this arrow and download it, and then you can read it on your computer, annotate it on your computer by highlighting, adding notes, things like that. But where the immersive reader comes in is if you click that button, then you can get the reader, it will read it to you. And so it's really nice. You can mess with the text size and, change it and all that kind of thing. You can look at different grammar options if you wanted to highlight all the nouns or highlight all the verbs or things like that. And then your reading preferences, where you can even choose a language to translate it into if you want it to be read in a particular language or style. So the immersive reader is really, really helpful, but it's not automatically up there if you don't enable it. So to enable the immersive reader, you need to go to your account button. Click your account, and then you're going to click settings. Okay, and when you do that, your settings will pop up, and if you scroll the page all the way down to the feature list and look almost all the way down to the bottom, it'll say Microsoft Immersive Reader. Make sure that there's a green button there. If not, click the red X and then click Enable, and it will be enabled. And then when you go back into your class and you're on a page that can be read, you will see that immersive reader button. Okay, so it's a really great feature, and so I just wanted to make sure that I think moving forward, it will be automatically enabled on all of our Canvas courses, I think starting in the fall, but right now it's not. So if you want to enable it, that's how you do it, okay? The next thing I wanted to talk to you about is checking feedback on your work. To check feedback, you click into grades. Now, I can't click into grades because if I do, it's going to show everybody's grades. But let me click in and view as student, so you can't really see anything. So as a student, if you click on grades, you're going to see a list of all your grades. Now, obviously, I didn't turn anything in last week, so all of my stuff is missing. But you can see, this might be a good thing to see too. If you don't turn something in when you click on grades, it's going to be a big red missing, and then you know, hey, I need to turn that in. But if you submit, there'll be like a date and time stamp here to see when you submitted it, and then if it's graded, and then you'll see your score. If there's a score here, there'll also be, I think, like a little, I don't know if it's a speech bubble or if it's just a dot. I'm not sure what it looks like, but if you click there, you'll be able to see my summary comment, which is probably something like, thanks for submitting this. Please see my feedback and let me know if you have any questions. So where do you see my feedback? If you go over here in the list and if you click on the actual title of the assignment, it will bring up a whole new page. Now, if I click it as the student, you're not going to see anything because it's missing for me. I didn't submit anything. But if you click that, you will see a screen will pop up that will have the title of the assignment, and then you can see the rubric that was used to grade the assignment. And if you scroll past the rubric, then you will see your actual submission. Excuse me. I had to cough. Anyway, you will see your actual submission, and it will have highlights and it will have comments. So you can either click the highlight and on your document, and it will, like, the comment that goes with the highlight will kind of like pop up, or you can click the comment and it will have like dotted lines to the highlight to so you can kind of see where the comment comes from. That'll be the primary way that I leave feedback, is I'll highlight something and then add a comment to it, especially if it's like a whole sentence I want to point out or something. There may also be like a little like upside down like teardrop, and that's kind of like a drop point. You can click that and also see a comment. And I might do that for like finer points. Like if I want to say, hey, you put a comma right here, I might want to put like a drop comment there. Or I could highlight the space and just say, hey, a comma goes here. And also, you'll be able, if you see like a red line striking through words, that means you could delete that word or that phrase or that whole sentence. And then sometimes I will also still leave a comment explaining why you should delete it. Okay, so even if you got a 100 on the Module 1 writing, don't just look over here at the score and go, oh, I got a 100, great, I'm done. Still click into this because I still leave comments. There are things maybe that we haven't covered yet that I still point out in your writing, and I still make a note of it. And so please take the time to read through the comments on every graded item, but especially on the module writing, so module essays. Those are important because you want to take that information and then apply it to module 2 writing for this week. So make sure that you click through everything. Okay, so yes, clicking over here, looking at the score, looking at the rubric, and then looking at my summary comments is good, but you must also click over here to the name, and then that will give you the comments that I left actually in your submission, and those are the most valuable. Okay, all right, so let me get out of here because I don't want to, and let me leave student view. Okay. All right, there we go. Okay. Another thing I wanted to note is that attendance for the class is taken on Sundays. Okay, so last week when you finished the entry verification, that was your entry into the course. So you got marked present on that day. So if you finished entry verification on the first day of class on the 19th, you were marked present on that day. If you didn't finish the entry verification till Wednesday, the 21st, then you were marked present on that day. Okay, so that's how you're marked. Now, if you did, if you submitted an assignment through in Module 1, Sunday, you were marked present for week 1. Okay, so now next Sunday is when I'll mark attendance for week 2, for Module 2. Okay, so remember that you need to submit something. If a week goes and you don't submit any assignments, that is an absence. And I can't, just like if this was a real seated class and you missed a class, you couldn't come to my office after and say, can I please be counted present? I forgot to do something, or sorry, I didn't show up. I couldn't do that because you weren't actually in class. Same thing goes, even though this is an online class, if you don't submit any assignments by Sunday at 11:59 p.m., then for that week, I'm going to have to mark you absent. So just know that you can look at your attendance from now on. You're only going to have attendance marked on Sundays. That's it. Okay. And so you'll have an entered present, and then you'll have an attendance on Sunday for this week if you view your attendance. Okay. And if you have any questions about that, concerns about that, need me to explain it more, I can do that. Just let me know, send me an email. Okay. All right. So I think that's all the announcements out of the way. Let's look at Module 2, okay? Module 2 is about main ideas and summaries, okay? So last week you did, in Module 1, you wrote a response paragraph. This week you are writing a summary response to this article, Rice for Thanksgiving by Jocelyn Fong, okay? So there is a lot of good information here in these module resources. One thing that I really want to point you to, two things actually, is this reading comprehension and annotation 3I 3R page. This kind of gives you questions and ideas, things that you can go through to get yourself involved with the text, involved with an article, questions that you can ask yourself, things that you can ask the text, things that you can think about while you're reading, ways to take notes. These are really good questions and ideas for how you can help retain information on anything that you read, okay? Now this article, Rice for Thanksgiving, I call it an article. It's actually like a personal essay. This personal essay by Jocelyn Fong is rather short, but it still is important that you can practice some of these things. Ask yourself some of these questions. Ask the text. Look for answers to some of your questions in the text. Why was this written? What is the author trying to tell me? Why is this important? Those kinds of things will help you keep engaged with the reading. And like I said, this one's kind of short, but for longer text especially, it's very helpful. So I really do like this handout. Another one that you can look at is this video on how to write a summary. It is an excellent video. I think it's like 3 or 4 minutes long, but it goes through your basic steps to writing a good academic summary. Some highlights are: always start your summary with the article title and the author. Just like you did last week with the response paragraph. This week, when you write a summary on Jocelyn Fong's personal essay, Rice for Thanksgiving, your first sentence needs to be, in the personal essay, Rice for Thanksgiving by Jocelyn Fong, she talks about what? And give the main idea, okay? Other things about a summary. You don't want to do any direct quotes. There's no time for direct quotes. Think of yourself as a reporter, and you are only reporting what Fong is writing about, what she's writing about, main ideas, the main points, the gist of the article. What is it about? Okay. You don't want to give your opinion on it. You don't want to say, I think this, I bet this happened, this should happen. Those are all opinions. Save that for the response paragraph. A summary paragraph is just a report of the article that you've read. Okay, that's it. And hit the main points. Stay away from dates, statistics, percentages, those kinds of minute details in an article have no place in a summary, because a summary is just the main idea. It's just the gist of what's going on. Think of it as like a zoomed out view of the article and not very specific, because if somebody wanted the specifics, then they should go read the article. Okay, so we summarize things all the time. And you think about if you read a book or if you watch a movie and then someone says, oh, hey, did you see that movie? What was it about? And you give them 3 or 4 sentences, what's it about? That's a summary. Because if they want the details of what happened to a particular scene in the movie, then they'll go watch the movie. Okay, so think of a summary as a zoomed out main idea view. Remember, a well-developed paragraph is 5 to 7 sentences. So you're taking Jocelyn Fong's personal essay and condensing it to 5 sentences. So you cannot include everything. You've got to just give the main points, okay? So it's a really good video. Please watch it. And this is just a little more information about a response paragraph. Because in Module 1, your response paragraph was choose a side. Get rid of the penny, keep the penny. This personal essay is not about choosing sides. You're not choosing a side. So how would you respond to this article? And so that gives you a little more information about how to write a response. And then of course, we have some grammar stuff. We always have some grammar work, a comma splice cheat sheet, and then how to use some prepositions. And here's a video about prepositional phrases. And so you have 3 assignments this week. You have 2 more inquisitives, 1 on comma splices and 1 on run-on sentences. And then you have your actual writing, your summary response. So remember, if you click up here to the Module 2 writing, here are your assignment guidelines, what you're asked to do. And I just told you, you're asked to write a summary first of Rice for Thanksgiving, and then a response to that reading. That is your job. So 2 paragraphs, okay? And then I give you some tips, kind of what I've already said. Give you some tips about what you could write about and how you could approach this writing. You also have the rubric for this writing. And that is included here. So don't forget, you've got a rubric that you can look at. It is so important that you write your essay or your paragraphs and then look at this rubric. Do you match what is in this rubric? And if you can kind of grade yourself, read the rubric and then look at your stuff. Did I do that before you submit it? It's so important and it'll be so helpful for you if you do that, okay? So that is Module 2. Not as much to do this week because we don't have all that orientation to the class plus Module 1. We just have a module. So take your time with the material here and all the module resources. Take your time going through them. Finish the inquisitives, and then attack this summary response last after you've taken in all of this information. Excuse me again, I'm sorry. I just had to pause again. I think I need to go get some water. Anyway, I hope you all have a great week this week. Please let me know how I can help. I did notice that there were quite a few, who did not do the inquisitive activities for last week. So just remember, you can come and click under Module 1. These inquisitive activities will be open until August 4th. But again, please don't wait to do them. Remember, these activities build on each other, and you really need to understand sentence fragments and subject-verb agreement as you move on. Just like you really need to know about comma splices and run-on sentences, because once we cover those things, you're responsible for those things in your writing. So yes, technically you can wait and do all the inquisitives at the end, but I wouldn't recommend that. They're meant to be done as you go. So there's not as much work to do this week. Perhaps you can go back and pick up those inquisitives. And there were a few who still haven't turned in the Module 1 writing. So remember, it's 5 points off every day that it's late. So get that in as soon as you can. any grade is better than a 0. Okay, so don't just leave it missing. And if you have questions, please ask me. I'm here to help. I have had students in the past who just kind of sit on their writing because they're afraid to submit it, and they just hold on to it indefinitely, and they never turn it in, and then it's a 0. And even if they would have just turned in something, they would have gotten something. You know, even if it's a 50 or a 60 or a 70, it's better than a 0. Okay, so please get that work in. I'm happy to take it. And let me know if you have any questions or concerns this week as you're working through the module material. And don't forget, in the announcements, a week 2 Monday memo on a Tuesday. Remember, first day of every week, a memo gets posted, and it kind of walks you through some of the things for the module, gives you some tricky word sets, lists out the items that are due for the week. When you click on when you're on your homepage, remember the latest 3 announcements are at the top. So our week 2 Monday memo on a Tuesday, posted today, this morning at 8 a.m. So make sure you read through that as well as watch this video if you haven't already done that, okay? All right, so now I'm done, for real. I will talk to you all next week. Have a great one. Let me know how I can help.